session, we're going to learn how to add fields, delete fields, manipulate or change the order of fields in a pivot table. Here we're working with the sales analysis pivot table in ProDecisions. And notice that I have 4 customer classes displayed here. And if I pull down on the first customer class, you'll have customers listed. So I have customer classes and then customers, basically 2 levels of information in this pivot table. I'd like to add items to this so that I can see the items that each customer has purchased. In order to do that, the first thing I'll do is right-click on the pivot table, and the option on the bottom of the list of a right-click is Show Field List. I'm going to select that. As soon as I do, on the right side of the screen, you'll see a list of all of the available fields from the SQL table that supports this pivot table. It appears in this panel here on the right. So these are the fields that are available to me. I only have certain ones checked here, indicating that these are the ones that I'm currently using in this pivot table. If I wanted to select the items to be able to see what items each customer has purchased, I'm going to scroll down this list until I see items listed here. I want to pull in the description of the item, so I'm going to get the item description. And what I'm going to do is drag this down to where I want it to appear. I want it to appear under each customer. See at the bottom here I have 4 different smaller panels. One is called a report filter, which we'll talk about in another session. Then I have one for column labels, with the tops of the columns. I have fiscal years, quarters, and periods in there. I have values, which would be the actual numbers that appear here, sales dollars in this case. I have one for my row labels, customer class description, customer name, and item description. That's where I want to drop the item description, right below the customer name in this lower left-hand panel. I'm going to drop it in there. Now you can see what happened. In the pivot table, I have another level. I have customers, and then I have items beneath that. I've done just what I wanted to do, to be able to see customer classes, then customer names, and then items. So that's add. I could just continue to add more information if I wanted to, just by grabbing the data field here at the top and then dragging it down to where I wanted to see it down below. I wanted to remove a column or a row. Maybe I don't want to see customer classes anymore here. I just want to see customer names and items. So if I want to remove that, there's a couple different ways I could do it. One way would be just to grab that here off of the lower left-hand panel and drag back up here to the top field list. When I do that, it's going to reorganize this and now just show me customers and then items. And if I collapse that, you'll see I have another customer below that. And so I continue to collapse those and see just customers and items. If I wanted to add the customer classes back in, I'm going to grab it here, I'm going to drag it down on top of customer name, drop it in, and then I've got, again, just what I had before. Another way that I could, let me go ahead and collapse this entire list, this entire field, down to the customers, and then contractor or customer class. Another way that I could remove that is just to right-click on it, an option here, Remove Customer Class Description. That will allow me to remove that entire level out of the pivot table. Just clicking on it there. Now I may also, so you see here how to add and remove to the pivot table. Let me go ahead and put the customer class description back in again. You may also want to manipulate this information. You probably have already figured out how to do that based on where I've added and deleted fields out. But if I wanted to manipulate where these fields, the way they sort and the way they display, let's say I wanted to see customer classes, but then I wanted to see items next and then customers for some reason. Well, I could drag items up on top of customers, drag in, and that's going to change the sort order. So now I have my customer classes, but then I have items and then all of the customers that bought that item within this customer class. I may want to drag customer classes out, find item classes, and drag item classes in. That in. So now I'm looking at item classes, items, and then customers below that. It's an idea of how to add, delete fields, and also to manipulate the fields in a pivot table.